seal, also known as a common seal. Despite the name, they're not as common in Irish waters. The recent estimates are about there's 3,000 to 4,000 individuals in Irish waters, and they are actually in decline, their population. Compared to the grey seals, they are a lot smaller than the bigger grey seals, and we always say they look a little bit more cat-like in the face. They have these short little muzzles and these round little faces, so I think they look a lot cuter. We're a charity organisation. We're based down in Courtown in North County, Wexford, and we're basically dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating and releasing sick and injured seal pups all over the Irish coastline. So we're the only seal rescue centre in the whole of the Republic of Ireland. There is one up in Northern Ireland as well, but that means we rescue pups from all over the coastline, from Donegal all the way down to Kerry and Wexford, Waterford, Wicklow, all that. We tend to be busier in the summer and winter months, and we're kind of in our quiet season right now, which is a little bit of a calm in between the two. Our main goal is rescuing and rehabilitating seal pups. But we're also dedicated to ocean conservation, so we do a lot of work with the public, with education, community engagement. We see that most of the seals that come into us, unfortunately, they are affected by human disturbance or plastic pollution. Our kind of goal is actually to be redundant, so ideally we'd live in a world where the ocean is perfectly pristine and no seals are disturbed, so we're not needed, we don't need to rescue them. So our kind of motto is like healthy seas equals healthy seals. Grey seals are actually more common in Irish waters, so their population estimates are between 8 to 10,000 in Irish waters. There used to be a lot more, but back in the 1970s they were actually hunted to near extinction, so there was much less numbers. Now luckily back in 1976 there was the Irish Wildlife Act, so it made it illegal to disturb them, to hunt them, to disturb pupping grounds and everything like that. So because of that, the population has made a huge comeback, which is great to see. So they are actually in good stock in Irish waters. So that's why we think it's really important to try and conserve the population when we have it, as it's a lot harder to bring it back from the brink of extinction. So that's why it's really important to work with the common seals as well at the moment, now that we can see that their numbers are going down, to try and conserve it as much as we can while we have them. We've definitely noticed a massive increase in public awareness, only because we opened back in 2010, and it was actually opened down in Dingle in Kerry. So that year we rescued something like 19 seals in the whole year, which is a modest enough number. Recent years we're rescuing upwards of 120, 140 this year we had. So we're seeing a massive increase over the years, and again that is just down to public awareness. They're aware of us, and they're also more aware of the animals. They're out on the beaches, they're seeing them, and they know to call us if something's not quite right. So we have a rescue hotline, so that's just a phone number manned 24/7, 365 days of the year, mostly by interns, so full-time volunteers that work here. So usually we'll get a call from a member of the public just saying that they've seen a pup, they think it might be in trouble. Now sometimes it's a perfectly healthy pup, so we can just reassure them that it's fine, just give it some space. But if we do think that the seal looks a little bit poorly, we have Rescue Network volunteers based all over Ireland. So we have about 800 active volunteers on our network at the moment. So they're basically trained, our volunteers, on how to assess pups and lift them if needed. So we usually contact a local volunteer to go out and assess the situation, maybe take a few more pictures and videos for us so we can properly assess the seal's condition. And then if we make the decision to lift the seal, so now that is always a last resort. Obviously, ideally, it's best to leave them in the wild where they belong. But if we don't think the seal is going to make it without our intervention, that's when we'll get the volunteer to lift the seal. Now, they don't actually lift it, like touch it with their hands. These guys are wild animals and they are quite feisty. Everyone thinks they look very cute, very friendly, like little dogs, but they will give you a nasty bite. So usually the volunteers will just herd it into a cage or a big box and pop that into the back of the car and then transport it over to our centre here in Courtown. So it can be quite a long journey for some of these guys coming from all over the west coast, and it's a big group effort. So usually it would involve 3 or 4, maybe even 5 volunteers doing like a bit of a relay race, passing the seal over at every hour-long marker in the journey until it gets to our centre. So we really heavily rely on those volunteers. It's such a team effort, we really couldn't do it without them.